Hey guys, it's Alex, and today I'm coming to you from Power by the Hour. Today we got the car on the dyno. What am I gonna do today? Just more dyno pulls? Yeah, pretty much. I have a GT350 intake manifold in the car. I have a GT350 throttle body, stock 2018 cold air. Previous best was 421 rear wheel horsepower, 370 foot-pounds of torque. So what I'm gonna do today is test it on a flex fuel tune, then E85R tune. Same mods, so you can see what the tune differences are. Then I'm going to put a GT350 cold air in it, test it with the hood shut, then with the hood open. That's the cold air that's going to stay on this car, so that this car has a complete GT350 top end setup, manifold, intake, and throttle body. Let's get right to it. Let's baseline the car as it sits, hood down obviously with the 18 cold air intake, and see what it makes. Okay, let's make a pull right away. The car has been warmed up. So it's nice making pulls on a car that's, I don't know, quiet. All right, let's make a pull real quick. This is gonna take forever. There we go. Let's see what it made. Today on the dyno, it made 410, 365. I suspect that 421 was when it had a Roush cold air intake on it, because I remember I did the hood close, hood open, but I didn't really quantify or basically remember what the fuck I did. So let's call today's baseline 410, 365, okay? Now we're gonna go ahead and put the E85R tune in it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and load the E85R tune. I called it something funky. I have a bunch of tunes on this thing. There it is. I called it something really dumb. But I'm gonna go ahead. This is the E85R tune. So on the flex tune, it made 410. Let me get rid of this run. It's gonna confuse people. Well, what about that other run, Alex? Shut up. Shut up. 410, 365. Seems to be pretty good, you know. Nice, halfway decent looking curve. 410. 365 on the flex fuel tune. Now let's go ahead and flash the E85R dedicated tune, see what the difference is between those tunes, same mods, same day. You guys wonder how this works. Well, this is just the dyno brake, nothing else. Brake off, brake on. When we're done with the pull, we hit the brake. So what we do to sample, we let go of the brake, toggle in select shift all the way to 4th gear, second, third, and there's 4th. So the green button is to begin sampling, and we hit the green button again to stop sampling. And then this, all it does is control the brake. So we make a pull, sample, stop sampling, hit the brake. That's how it works. Just showing you how it all works. So let's make a pull real quick and see how it all goes. Let me data log this pull. I did not data log the flex fuel tune because it's gonna see the timing that it's gonna see. I know it had verified E84 or so in it, so I feel confident that the E85R tune is going to see a couple more degrees of spark earlier, make more torque, and maybe make more peak power. Let me start going. So you'll see me hit this to start sampling, hit it again, then I'll hit the brake. There we go. Down. It didn't like something. It actually made less power. You see the graph pop up. It actually made 396, 366. So I'm curious to see what the data log looks like. It's a good teaching moment. Let's see what I see. According to the log, it saw another 1.5 degrees, but on the dyno, it didn't show that. So I'm gonna make another run just to verify that number. See if there's something going on with the dyno. Maybe it had a little spark plug blowout. I can't imagine. But let's make another pull to verify everything and see what the hell's going on. Okay, pull number 3. I don't know what happened, but the dyno just didn't like that for some reason. We're here. Floor it. Start sampling. For being a stock exhaust car, it's kind of on the loud side. Stop the log. Come on, baby. And we'll see how much power it made on that pull. Okay, so 406. Yeah, 406. So it made like 10 more horsepower, but it's 406 364. So first run, flex fuel tune, made 406. Second run, E85R tune, saw flex fuel tune 410, E85R tune 406 364. Again, if it's within a 5 horsepower variable, I think it's fine. So this car's running just as good on the flex tune than it does on the E85R tune. But on the E85R tune, what this graph won't show is we're shoving the timing in early, so it'll perform better. But peak for peak, it's probably going to make the same number. A lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think, well, it'll make more power on the E85R tune. Not necessarily if it sees good timing on both tunes peak, but at the track, we can shove the timing in earlier. So this guy can absolutely, you know, perform better with the E85R tune than with the flex tune. Remove selected runs. All right, let's take a look. When you guys test the car with the flex tune and it makes about the same horsepower, you're going to say, well, wait a minute, why do I need an E85R tune? What this graph does not show is when we shove the timing in earlier, this car will perform better with the E85R tune than with the flex tune at a track. Why? Because we can command timing in earlier, whereas the flex tune, for whatever reason, still makes good peak power, but it just won't perform as good. Trust me, I've verified this. But it's funny when people text a flex tune versus the E85R tune and think the E85R tune will make more power, but peak for peak, meaning peak for peak, it's pretty much the same. Anything about, what is it, 5,500 RPM and up, it'll kind of balance out. You see how the E85R tune kind of kept making a little more nut than this guy? Actually, it's pretty even. So, but at a track, trust me, the E85R tune will perform better than the flex fuel tune. Okay, enough of that bull crap. Let's get the 350 cold air intake on it. So I wanted to take this time out to show you the GT350 elbow. Okay, this is from a GT350 Mustang. Now, what's so different about this than the 18? Well, the diameter is a little bigger on the GT350 housing. On the left is the GT350, on the right is the 18 manifold. Actually, I got these guys backwards. Here we go. Here we go. So that's GT350 2018. A little bigger. God damn it. Freaking airplanes. So it's a little bigger. It's got a bit of a bell mouth design to it. It has a bigger inlet because this actually, and it's bigger overall because it fits the GT350 throttle body, which is a slightly bigger diameter than stock. But as you can tell, it's a little bit bigger diameter, 350 versus 18. Has a bit of a bell mouth, but also things that aftermarket manufacturers don't have. Look inside there. It is a carbon trap. Right, these guys have to be emissions legal everywhere. What does that mean? That means even though when the car is off and anything bleeds back from the engine towards the filter, it has to be, all those gases have to be captured. This car has a carbon trap, so even this is emissions compliant. Ford has to think of all that stuff in order to be emissions compliant. So very rarely will you see a carbon trap in any cold air. Now, what purpose does this serve for power? None. It is strictly for emissions. But it's a pretty neat thing to pick to point out that a lot of people are simply not aware of. Ford has to be emissions compliant in everything. Carbon trap has to happen. About very well engineered stuff. Look at what Ford has on the GT350. has this little piece that goes over the existing airbox. The existing airbox hooks up to the stock snorkel, and it falls nicely into place here. And you cinch it down with 4 actually. It's clamped in. Look at that. That's nice. It's clamped in with these bolts that are right here. Let's get these guys on. Get the MAF curve loaded. Go wide open throttle. Get some data. So there it is, a GT350 cold air intake installed. And how am I going to test this? That's right, hood shut. Let's get in there, load a MAF curve, tune on it, make sure that the fueling is trimming nicely. Don't mess with the timing. Go wide open throttle with the hood shut and the fan on. Now I'm going to go ahead and log it. The GT350 intake manifold, cold air intake. And fan is on, yes. Go wide open throttle, hood shut, just to see how much of a difference it'll make with the hood shut with the forward shield, because it looks pretty baller, honestly. Let's see what it makes. Oh, you definitely hear it. You hear a deeper rumble. Latest run, interesting. It looks like it didn't make that much more power with the hood shut. It sounded better, but it sure as hell didn't make that much more power. What are inlet air temperatures? 107. They're 9 degrees higher. So again, a open air element, even with the fan on, it still has higher IAT, and it made actually 3 less horsepower than the 18 cold air intake. Mind-blowing. Check it out. There you go. The red is a GT350 cold air intake. 3 less horsepower, 2 less pound-feet of torque. Look, all the way open air element. Right. Now, let's open the hood like everyone else tests it. Trust me, it's gonna make like 10 more horse. Watch. Yes, let's do it live. Don't cut. No cutting. Let's open that hood. It just made 403. Fans going. Yeah, fans going nicely. It just made 403. God damn it. With the hood shut. Now the hood's open. Let's get right in the car. Let's get right in the car. Put it on the mount. Make a pull. Car's still running. Car's still logging. Let's see how this works out. There we go. I want to make sure the mount. Perfect. Pulling it. Hood open. Hit OK so we can get back to the run screen. I guarantee it'll make 10 more horse than it did last time. I guarantee it. Window down so you can hear it. Fourth gear. Let's party. That sounds cool. Watch it be like 420. It made the same. Yeah. Oh, that is green. Man, that sucks cocks and dicks. So it looks like I thought I totally spun a bearing, but it's a compressor turning on. So it looks like, guys, the 18 cold air intake on a dyno still seems to be King Daddy. Look at that. I mean, there is no benefit to running anything but an 18 cold air intake with these modifications as it currently sits. That's insane. Check out the graph real quick. So there you go. Hood open, hood shut. All the same shit. So the 406 was the 18 cold air intake. The 40374 is the GT350 cold air intake with the hood shut. The 40353 third run, yeah, it was back to back at 362. So I'm gonna give this thing a shot. I'm gonna give this thing a shot. I'm gonna shut her down for a little bit, do some tickets, and then come back in about 10 minutes, make sure everything's nice and cooled off, and give it a money run and see how it goes. Ah, man, I'm sorry to tell you guys, 18 cold air intake is better than the Roush and the GT350 cold air intake. So far, based on this car anyway. For this video, I thought was going to be it showing again with the GT350 cold air intake, but it actually has become a, can any cold air intake make more than the 18 cold air intake with the hood shut? Can any? Let's try one more time. This time I let it cool down a little bit because I want to give it the best shot, but Coyote seemed to run well at operating temperature, so it's not a real big difference in my opinion when you cool the car down. But as always, for science, one more pull and we'll be done because I got tickets to do. Can't be fucking around. Fourth gear, boom. Let me double check the data to make sure the car is not trimming fuel in or out. Alright, looks pretty legit. Let's go. Look at that. Actually, believe it or not, cooling it down made a little bit of a difference. Let's take a look at the data. Whoa. So we started off with, I think, 410. Yep, 410, which was, believe it or not, the flex fuel tune, the first tune that was run on the dyno. So maybe the car being on the cooler side did help that number a little bit. Then the E85R tune, again, this was all intake manifold and made a decent amount less. And I thought, see what's going on there, so I ran it again just so it makes sure it wasn't a fluke, and it went right back up to 406. So 406 and 410, that's about right, really. That's kind of about right. Let me get rid of the anomaly, remove selected run. So flex and E85 right there. Then we went to 350 cold air, 403 with the hood shut, not bad. Hood open, back-to-back runs, 403. I let it cool down a little bit. Bam, 412, 370. So a little bit of a cooler deal seems to help out, but the GT350 intake cold made about the same power that the flex tune made cold. Now what does this data tell me? The car likes it a little cold, believe it or not. A little on the colder side because I guess IAT are a little happier because the rest of the car is kind of cold, and again, hood is open. If I was to shut the hood, that number would not look any better than any of the other numbers, but pretty darn consistent, pretty good separation, especially here. I want to see which ones separate the most. It looks like the burgundy and the red, so let's get rid of all of them, but the burgundy and red, dang it, dang it, dang it.
As you saw, I couldn't finish the video on the dyno. It was just too much going on, but basically, the GT350 intake did make a little bit more power after it was cooled down, but after all of the testing I've done on this particular car, it seems like the 18 cold air intake still performs very well against a Roush cold air intake and a GT350 cold air intake, and the GT350 cold air intake performs just as good as any of the other aftermarket intakes. So I wanted to make sure I got Ford specific parts to put up against each other, just to keep all the drama to a minimum. But the GT350 intake is going to stay on the car along with the manifold and the throttle body. I will hopefully in about a month or so get my hand on a throttle body. It's just been too busy now that racing season is on and popping in Florida, but just wanted to bring you a little video specifically for the Patreon members first, and then it'll be uploaded on YouTube a little later. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll talk to you later.